Alrighty, you'll have to forgive the sweatshirt. I'm living with a couple of 6-pound domestic terrorists. They've decided to go after me pretty well the last couple of days playing with them. I clipped their nails, but they're jumping from the tower, so I have to wear long sleeves. It's been a week. I was all excited. Well, I wasn't excited because it's a horrible thing. I shouldn't say I'm excited. I was excited to do the content. I wasn't excited for what was going on. But it seems like since we've last met, there was a Russian coup, and it's been resolved. There was a period of time where in the Ukraine, Russia was the third strongest army in the Ukraine, followed behind Ukraine and the Wagner Group. There was a point in time in this last week that the Russian military was the second strongest military in Moscow. Are you excited for my lawsuit about your copyright attack on your game's IP? Yes. Karthos and I were just, it's been one of those days, man. Guy came into a Discord and said if it takes more than 20 days to build an MMORPG, you should fire your development team. I guess that's going to go hand in hand with bad business advice. We're gonna talk about some bad business advice today because it all started with a video that got sent to me. Now, you guys know for the last couple of years I've been saying on my other Twitch channel, because I have a gaming channel, I've been saying you shouldn't be getting your business advice from TikTok. And I've always clarified that with, that's not to say there aren't really good people making really good 60-second to 3-minute segments on TikTok, because there absolutely are. There are a lot of people who are doing a good service. But I'm going to show you a couple of today. We're gonna start with like bad, like just misinformation, and then we're gonna move into like you didn't do a very good job of using the full 60 seconds to explain it, and then we're going to just go straight into illegalities. If you follow this advice, you will find yourself in federal prison. So, come over here. We're going to start with the one that is almost good advice. But there's so much bad advice mixed in. Now, for those people that are listening as a podcast, you will hear the audio. The audio will be here, but this is a video podcast available on Spotify as well. So, just keep that in mind. So, I'm gonna kill the music so that we can make sure that we get a nice here. We're gonna talk. I'm gonna let the whole video play through first. And then I'm going to play through it, and I'm going to pause, and we're going to talk about it. So here's the whole video, here's the whole segment uninterrupted. And this guy is talking about debt.
Here's how debt can make you wealthy. Hi, bank. I'd like to get a loan for a rental property that I want to buy. You again? You're almost $2 million in debt. I know I'm not supposed to do this because we make money if you take out a loan, but I would definitely advise against getting into that much debt. I may be $2 million in debt, but I have $2.7 million worth of assets, and my tenants pay down that $2 million of debt, plus my assets increase in value, and me taking on debt in order to purchase these assets allows me to pay a lot less money in taxes. That makes sense, but I hope you're at least smart with your money so no one has to bail you out. Interesting advice from a bank, but yes, I try to keep strong cash reserves as well as not over-leverage my position. Follow for more wealth building tips.
Okay. So put that one up again, and
here's how debt.
What we're going to talk about is we're gonna break down the mistakes as he goes, because this is one of the ones where this entire video is 38 seconds, and I'm not sure if in the remaining 21 seconds of a traditional TikTok, a short, a reel, if he could have nailed in the rest of the facts. But you've heard me talk about leveraging debt piecemeal on my gaming channel, and so today I want to talk about this. Now, before I get into this, I want to let you know that I do own businesses. I do leverage debt. I do have a lawyer. I do have an accountant. So this isn't just some guy. Yes, I'm a nobody gaming streamer, but I'm retired. That's why I started this channel. So can debt make you wealthy? Yes, absolutely. And the first part of what he talks about here.
Debt can make you wealthy. Hi, bank. I'd like to get a loan for a rental property that I want to buy.
Okay, perfect. I want to get a loan for a rental property that I want to buy. Now, you got to have a business established. What do you need in order to get a loan for a rental property? Now, keep in mind, he said, I want to get a loan for a rental property, not I want to get a loan for a residence. He didn't say I want a loan for a residence. He said I want a loan for a rental property. And you must disclose that to the bank. You must disclose that to the bank for their underwriting, because the underwriting is going to require a different type of insurance to be available at closing. People don't necessarily always realize that. If you want to be using a property as a rental, then the loan agent needs to know that. Now, he said, you again, well, hold on, we'll let him say it.
You again, you're almost $2 million in debt. I know I'm not supposed to do this because we make money if you take out a loan, but I would definitely advise against getting into that much debt. I may be $2 million in debt, but I have $2.7 million worth of assets, and my tenants pay down that $2 million of debt.
So what he said there is, I have 2.7 million worth of assets. I may have 2 million in debt, but I have 2.7 million worth of assets. This is where he's wrong, and he's giving people bad advice. He's not 2 million in debt if he has 2.7 million worth of assets. He has $2 million of debt. So the way he has described his business in this example, he has $2.7 million worth of assets, and he has currently leveraged $2 million of debt against that. He says, my tenants pay down that $2 million in debt. Well, he skipped a huge part of that. My tenants pay down the $2 million in debt. So now not only does he have $2.7 million in assets, which means he's holding $700,000 in assets, he has an income stream, right? He has an income stream from his tenants. So he's throwing around words loose and fast. But you may have picked it up at the end of the video.
$2 million
right?
in debt, but I have $2.7 million worth of assets, and my tenants pay down that $2 million of debt, plus my assets increase in value, and me taking on debt in order to purchase these assets allows me to pay a lot less money in taxes.
Now, this is absolutely, this is absolutely true. This is why a company like Netflix is able to stay in business $12 billion in debt, because they're not $12 billion in debt. They have $12 billion of debt. They have bills payable that they must pay. But if they are going along every month and they are making money, they're not in debt, they have debt. Yeah, Wolf Agar, his liabilities are covered by his assets, therefore he's not in debt. That's like saying I'm $50,000 in debt, but I have $100,000 in my bank account. Yeah, and we're gonna get there in just 1 second, because he also he was disingenuous with this whole example when we get to the end.
Makes sense, but I hope you're at least smart with your money so no one has to bail you out. Interesting.
But yes, I keep strong cash reserves and I don't over leverage my position. Absolutely. You should never over leverage your position, and you should always have strong cash reserves. Now, he said he has 2.7 million in assets and he has a strong cash reserve. If I'm going to assume that he's a good property manager, if he has 2.7 million in assets, that means he has no less than $270,000 in cash, because you should keep as cash reserves 10% of the value of your properties, because that allows you to fix roofs, walls, heating systems, cooling systems, water leaks, floods, act of God, hail, broken windows. You should always have available 10% of your asset value. And this transfers whether or not it's a business. This transfers over to your own personal home as well. Now, for example, my home has gained $65,000 in value in 6 years. I don't have $26,000 in an account as 10% of the new value of my home. I have $17,000. I have the purchase price and a little bit more than that to cover for the rates of inflation. But what this guy is literally saying is, I'd like to take a loan where I have 700,000 headspace on my collateral, which are my assets, and I also have a strong cash reserve. Where the guy at the bank said, I know I'm not supposed to do this because we make money if you take it out. Let me help you out here. The bank is never going to say, we're not supposed to do this.
You're almost $2 million in debt. I know I'm not supposed to do this because we make money if you take out a loan, but I would definitely...
The bank is never going to say, but I would definitely advise against getting into that much debt. Banks don't say anything. Banks don't say things before the word but. I can't do this for you. That's it. The banks have already been spanked, and banks are constantly being spanked by the SEC for not in the federal government and the federal courts for not doing what they're supposed to do. But this is one of the TikToks where I give this TikTok about a C+, because it's a good first draft. I missed if this was a new business advice, because if it's a new business, I'm thinking where you pull out $500,000 to layer on. Right. What he's saying is that it's not a new business, because he's claiming he has...
You're almost $2 million in debt. I know I'm not supposed to do this because we make money if you take out a loan, but I would definitely advise against getting into that much debt. I may be too...
He's claiming he has $2.7 million worth in assets. Now, the problem here, and I've talked about this on the show many times, and what I'm about to tell you is a personal philosophy. It is not a hard and fast rule. For example, you're buying up properties in an area, right? And you have the initial cash to buy. We're working on an assumption that these houses are $100,000 each, right? We're working on the assumption that the houses are $100,000 each, and so you need $20,000 cash to not have PMI on your mortgage, because if you have PMI on the mortgage, that's going to be eating into your profits. So the assumption here is that you have $100,000 in seed money so that you go ahead and you buy these 4 properties. And I've been to a ton of real estate seminars. I've been to a ton of rental property seminars, and they always say, in this situation, if you have 100,000 and you can get a hold of 4 properties, then what you should do is you should get a hold of the 4 properties, because they're going to start generating money for you. The problem is, while you have 4 properties, right, you own 0% of them. And just to keep it real, just to keep it realistic, you're in a neighborhood where the houses are 100,000. So in our fictitious neighborhood, you're only looking at being able to rent those out at about $800 a month. You might be able to press to $1,000 a month, but chances are, if the houses are $100,000 each, you're gonna be hard capped at $1,000. You're not gonna get more than $1,000. So you take, you have 80,000 left on your mortgage, not including interest, right? I don't want to get into like the complex mortgage formula. So the problem here is, let's say you're getting $1,000 a month. That's 80 months. That means without interest alone, with 100% uptime, you're going to need 6.6 years to pay off each of those houses. That's with 100% uptime. That's with no property manager. That's with 0 repairs. And that's not including the interest. So now to give it a little bit more teeth, right? I'm going to throw in I'm going to do a real quick mortgage calculator, and we're going to see if we can get a real quick is this one of the places? Jesus Christ. It's like you can never get just a fast mortgage calculator. Mortgagecalculator.com. Home value, 100,000, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Down payment, $20,000. Loan amount, interest rate, property taxes, PMI, 0%. You're care about that. You're basically looking, if you want no PMI, you need a down payment of 20%. You're looking at 6.7% interest, which is today's best rate. You're looking at needing $28,000 a year in payments, right? I don't think that's going to work at 6%. The problem is now you own nothing. You own nothing. And you've taken your money and you've put it into these 4 properties. Quick rule of thumb, you only count on having 11/12 of the property of the value a year. And the reason why is you're going to run into the issue that, and I threw it into a better mortgage calculator. So if you're only charging $800 a month, you're looking at, with homeowners insurance and property tax, you're looking at $689 a month in your mortgage. You're looking at $689, and you're only able to get $800 out of the house. You're only making $111 profit a month. And now, why do I say 11/12? Because you always have to factor in the fudge. What if you lose a tenant? Well, I'm not going to lose tenants. Well, yeah, you can say that, but you're going to lose tenants. Everybody loses tenants. You also, unfortunately, you sometimes have to break this down to 10 out of 12 months. Because if you have a property manager, you ultimately pay them about 1/12 of the money a year. Now you're not including every 2 years. I missed a bit. Why don't you own you own the property at the end of paying the loan back. You own the property at the end of paying the loan back. But from now until 6.6 years from now, right? 6.6 years from now, or at this mortgage rate, at the end of 30 years, you own the property. What you need to do is, and that's at 4%. If we do 6%, right? If we do 6% right now, it's $780 a month. You're only making $20 profit. Remember, interest rates suck right now. The problem is, you had some real good property sitting tenant-free 5 months out of 1 year just because it is what it is. Exactly. The problem here is the advice people are given is take your 100,000, split it among 4 properties, so you get No. Supra, we're not. 6.6 years is if it was a perfect world. If it was a perfect world and no interest. I wanted people to get that 6.6 number. That's if you had no interest. Right now on a 30-year mortgage, it's going to take you 30 years to get that house paid off. Right? It's going to take you 30 years. If I do a 15-year mortgage, then it's going to cost you $976 a month. You can't even rent that property out for that. This is why Jay gives completely different advice. You have $100,000 in your pocket. And there are 4 properties in a neighborhood that are up for sale for $100,000 that you could buy. Don't put your eyes on these 3, because what you're going to do is you have $100,000 and you want to buy a rental property. Check, it's yours. It's yours now. You have one and you own it. And you set up 123 Main Street LLC. That way, each limited liability company, you set up a limited liability company above you, Jalan Investments, Jalan Rentals, and then each property becomes its own limited liability company. Costs you about $600 by the time all the paperwork's done. All the money rolls up to the top. You file taxes with a lot of schedules on it. But this way, if you ever get sued, a tenant falls down the stairs because the handrail comes off the wall, they sue you. The only liability you have is for this property, not all your properties. Anyway, you have $100,000, you buy this one property. Now, you're getting $800 a month in income, right? You're getting $800 a month in income. The next house is $100,000. In order to do that house, you need $20,000. If we divide that $20,000 by the $800 in income, it's going to take us 2 years, 1 month in a perfect world, right? In a perfect world to pay that off. Here's why you have $800 in income from this house, and then you have other income from your other hustles. Because what you want to do is you want to be working a side job, a second job, whatever you can do to get the money together for the second property. The second property is the clutch property. Because when you have the second property, that's when you're making progress. So you're working a second job, you're taking money off your primary income, you've got all this other money. As soon as you get the second property, the $20,000, this is where the advice comes in, because now you can probably get a better interest rate because you can put the first house up as collateral. You say to the bank, you say, hey, your interest rate today is 4.2%, and that's going to eat up a ton of my profits. What I would like to do is I would like to put 123 Main Street up as collateral. It's a house I own free and clear. Or you get a different type of loan, and you need to make sure you talk to your attorney and your business people. You pull a personal loan off of the first property, the $20,000 you need for the PMI to get that, and then there's a lot of different ways to do that. But what you haven't done is, like Rongo said, you have no debts to pay. The absence of tenants doesn't tighten the leash, and now you have an asset. You have $100,000 asset. You then get your second asset, which, as you can see, becomes easier. You do everything in your power to get this one paid off. Now you have 2. And after that, you can start buying 2 at a time, because you have, right? These you own. These you're buying. You're getting $800 a property, right? And the mortgage, we're going to put that mortgage back to reasonable. The mortgage is, let me go 4.1. The mortgage is 687. Right? So $113 on top, plus this $800 on top every month. You know how much faster you're going to pay your mortgage off if you're dropping $913 a month on top of the mortgage? Well, if you have an $80,000 mortgage and you're dropping $913 on top of that, that's going to tear it up. That means in 87 months, which is 7 years, you've paid off a 30-year mortgage. Not including the fact that you are making principal payments out of the 687. If I start throwing numbers all around, people are going to be like, whoa, hold on. So yeah, some of the business advice people would give is if you have 100,000, buy the 4 houses, but you haven't gotten anywhere. Now you're saddled with 4 debts. And now that's where you get the guy's video. Hey, you're 2 million in debt. Hey, you're 400, you're whatever that is, 320,000 in debt against $400,000 in collateral. That's not a very, yeah, the dude is debt maxing. That's not a very, this isn't a very good ratio. 320,000 in debt to 400,000 in assets. Because why does the bank not see that as good? Because don't forget, when you sell those assets, you lose 6%, right? Because you've got closing costs. So you have 400,000 times 0.94. Now you're only 376K in assets versus 320K. If you get upside down on one of those properties, you're going to lose you're going to take a loss on the property. It is better to own one rental and then struggle to get the second rental. And then once you have the second rental, you can take a breath. You can quit that second job. You can quit that side hustle and you can say, hey, you know what? I've got assets now. I've got collateral. I can take a personal loan and make 4,000 to 6,000 this year just by virtue of taking a personal loan. But you got to have the other income streams. If you don't have the other income streams, you're gonna run into an issue. The next one I want to play is this guy does a video where he says, "Don't put your money in a bank." And there's a lot of factual stuff in here that he didn't get exactly right. So again, I'm going to let the whole video play first, and then I'm going to break it out.
Anytime that you make a deposit to your bank, you're actually lending them money. They're then using the money that you deposited to create loans for people that want to buy cars and houses. Oh, and by the way, you're not seeing any interest on that money. But you're probably asking yourself, when I look at my bank account, it says I have this amount. But here's the truth. That's a digital number. That number is actually fake. This is known as fractional reserve banking, where they're able to create these loans off of all the deposits that are being made daily. Now, am I saying that it's not safe to put your money in the bank? No. But don't assume that just because the money is there, you actually have access to it. This is why sometimes when someone goes in to make a big withdrawal, they usually put that account on hold until reviewed. Now, if everyone wants their money at the same time, that's a different story. You want your money working for you. Think assets, life insurance, index funds, mutual funds.
Okay, so while I appreciate what this guy is trying to do, he has equated 1-for-1 that banks aren't paying you interest. Now, I don't know about you, but I get interest on my money in the bank. I don't know about you. I always hear people saying this crap all the time. I don't get interest at the bank. Do you have a savings account? No. You have a checking account? Yes. Guess what? The majority of banks do not pay interest on checking accounts. Checking accounts are liquidity. By putting your money in a checking account, you are literally saying to You are literally saying to the bank, this is money that I want to remain fluid. This is the amount of money that I anticipate may or may not remain in my account for any length of time. So
anytime that you make a deposit to your bank, you're actually lending them money.
This is correct. Anytime you are making a deposit into a bank, you are lending them money. This is the same thing when you loan money to a mutual fund. This is the exact same thing when you put money in an index fund. It is not the same as when you put money into stocks. Stocks equate ownership of the company. For example, I am 0.00000001% ownership of Disney. I have a lot of Disney stocks, but based on how many stocks I have divided by the total number of Disney stocks in existence, I don't even get invited to vote. They don't give me a ballot. Sometimes I will get asked. I will sometimes on a Disney issue, my investment firm will ask if they may vote proxy because Charles Schwab owns, between all the things that they own percentage points of Disney. Well, they don't own them. I own them, but they represent percentage points of investors. So occasionally when a big company, and Disney is the one I know of, Disney will say to Charles Schwab, Edward Jones, a couple of other big brokerage houses, can you please poll your Disney holders? Because we would like to do something. It hasn't happened since the last era of Bob Iger, but they'll be like, we don't want to do something. We want to make sure that we know what the shareholders want. That is why there's a difference. But yes, when you give money to anybody, you are loaning them the money.
They're then using the money that you deposited to create loans for people that want to buy cars and houses.
This is also correct. When you give the bank money, you have a contractual obligation between you and the bank where the bank says, we will give you X amount of interest for the money that you allow us to act as steward and caretaker for, provided that we are allowed to make money on your money.
Oh, and by the way, you're not seeing any interest on that money.
So that's the big red flag there. It's not a matter of you're not seeing interest on that money. It's a matter of you elected to not get interest on that money. I get interest on my money because the banks that don't pay me interest, I don't leave money there. So are you technically correct because there are people who aren't getting any interest? Sure, but whose fault is that? The banks or the users? It's the users.
You're probably asking yourself, when I look at my bank account, it says I have this amount. But here's the truth. That's a digital number. That number is actually fake.
Okay, this is bullshit. That number is not fake. When I go into my bank account, in fact, when I go into the Paradox Gaming bank account, the corporate bank account, I think today there's just over $3,800 in the bank. That number's not fake. Okay, hear him say it again.
The way, you're not seeing any interest on that money. But you're probably asking yourself, when I look at my bank account, it says I have this amount. But here's the truth. That's a digital number. That number is actually fake.
Okay, that number is not fake. That number, at that point in time, is the number of dollars and cents the bank contractually owes me, right? So if I want to leverage $3,800 worth of debt on my debit card today, the bank is obligated to cover that. In exchange for goods and services, Main Street Bank, on my debit card, they have approved $3,800 worth of purchases, and the bank is the promiser that they will pay Best Buy $3,800, and Best Buy is going to let me walk out the door with $3,800 worth of merchandise. So that number's not fake. Now, here we get into a little bit of the shenanigans.
This is known as fractional reserve banking, where they're able to create these loans off of all the deposits that are being made daily.
Okay, so fractional reserve banking is the system of banking operating in almost all countries under which banks take deposits for the public. And they are required to hold a proportion of the deposit liabilities and liquid assets as a reserve and are at liberty to lend the remainder to borrowers. This is true. But the way he's making it out is that in order for the world to work, right? In order for the world to work, Bob goes to the bank and puts $2,000 in. And the bank knows that they are required to keep 10% of all the deposits on hand, which means Bob goes to the bank and puts $2,000 in, and they can loan $1,800 of that out. But here's the other problem, and he's being disingenuous with that. The bank, like in the previous video where the guy said have high cash reserves, the bank has high cash reserves. The bank also has quick sell assets. The bank also has medium sell assets. The bank has lines of credit where, ironically, banks can borrow money from other banks. This is also why sometimes people get disenfranchised with the bank, because the bank has to start doing foreclosures. Sometimes the bank gives you 120 days notice that they're going to foreclose and you need to resolve your debt. Other times the bank does 30-day notice, which is the minimum by law in my state, minimum by law that the bank must give you. And the bank sends a very final notice of, we are going to foreclose on your house on the 30th of the month. If we do not have all of the back payments plus 2 months of advance payments, that is our you owe us 4 back payments. So if you want to stay in your house on the 31st of July, we need every payment that you owe us plus 2 in advance. You now are required to get ahead of your mortgage by 2 months. Well, people can't do that. But that's because the bank is literally at the point where they're going to have to sell. Now, yes, then there is Silicon Valley Bank. But I'll talk about Silicon Valley Bank because that was in the talking point at the end of this video.
Now, am I saying that it's not safe to put your money in the bank? No. But don't assume that just because the money is there, you actually have access to it. This is why sometimes when someone goes in to make a big withdrawal, they usually put that account on hold until reviewed.
No. That is not why they put the account on hold until reviewed. That is false. There are 2 reasons why when somebody goes in to do a large cash withdrawal, the account is put on hold. Number 1, the bank probably does not have cash assets in that quantity. You are not permitted by law to withdraw more than $10,000 in cash at any given point in time without declaring to Homeland Security via a form what you need the cash for. People say, but it's my money. You are correct. However, you have access to utilize your funds in a number of electronic methods that allow all tax purposes to be accounted for. Isn't it clever how I was able to say that without saying anything about crime? They don't care about the taxes, but it's a nice convenient bow to wrap around their form. So we're not telling you that you can't go and use this. We're telling you that you have to tell us where you're using the cash so that we can have a paper trail because you're choosing not to leave a digital trail. Number 2, the reason why large withdrawals from a bank are frozen is because they're trying to balance all the ones and zeros. I will give you the most recent incident I've had with this. I have had this happen with much larger sums of money, but I will use the most recent example I had. I have my hometown bank. I went to my hometown bank and I wrote them a check from my Ohio bank, and the way the computer picked up the check The computer only deposited $52 into my bank account because it picked up the check as being written out for $52. When she handed me the receipt, I said the check is for $5,200. The text line. She went back and she did a manual override in order to in order to make my local bank account balance what it should be. Now, keeping in mind that is a courtesy they extend me because I have a lot of accounts and I do a lot of business in this small town. Meanwhile, my Ohio bank only took $52 out of my bank account. So essentially, I generated $5,148 of digital money with no, I didn't deposit that. One bank gave me $5,148, and then the other bank still had that $5,148. Had I been in a different position in life, what I might have done is I might have closed my accounts at both banks. The banks would have 3 days to allow me to close my accounts. And what they would have done is they would have manually bumped that and they would have found it. This is where a lot of scams happen. People open an account in a bank, they do a lot of quick, dirty scams, and then they close the account and withdraw all their money in cash. And they fill out the form, because you can write on the DHS form, I'm using it for as petty cash at my business. You can write whatever you want on the form. They legally can't stop you from getting the money. But where he says this is why they put a hold on the account because they don't have the money, they do have your money. Their operating money is 20% of all the deposits. Now,
if everyone wants their money at the same time, that's a different story.
That's where we get the Silicon Bank. This is called a run on the banks. Unfortunately, banks are like any other institution. They have people that are making 8, 9, 10, 12%. They have people there that are losing money. This is just a fact of life. The FDIC guarantees $250,000 per customer per bank. Now, a lot of people have it in their head that the FDIC covers $250,000 per account. This is not true. The FDIC, the standard deposit insurance is $250,000 per depositor per insured bank for each account ownership category. This means if Bank of America, if I have 4 accounts at Bank of America and I have $250,000 in each account and Bank of America goes under, the FDIC is only going to give me $250,000, which is why people that have large sums of money have large sums. They have $250,000 in cash at like every bank because that's the only way it's insured. It's also smart to have your money spread around in case a bank fails. Now you have the Silicon Valley Bank, which had a run on their money. Right. Unless you're stupid rich. Did I see the payouts for Silicon Valley Bank? Hundreds of millions per individual. Yes, absolutely. Because what would happen to the overall economy? Silicon Valley Bank is a classic example of why that 20% reserve number is too low. Banks should only be allowed to invest 50% of the money they bring in. 50% should be held as cash reserves, and then the other 50% should be investments, or 50% should be investments and 30% can be local mortgages where they're buying a tangible asset. But unfortunately, if banks weren't allowed to be high-risk investments, people would be complaining that they can't get a mortgage. Remember, somebody has to take the risk on a first-time home buyer. Somebody has to take the risk on a first-time car buyer. Now, if Silicon Valley Bank didn't get a bailout, then people's entire wealth would go poof. With that said, do I care? No, not really. If the rule is $250,000 per account, that's what the FDIC is going to pay, then that's what those people should have gotten. They should have gotten $250,000. And then we need to stop bailing out every facet of the economy when something goes wrong. Because where does the FDIC get its money? Where does the FDIC get its money? The FDIC receives no congressional appropriations. It is funded by premiums that banks and savings association pay for deposit insurance. The FDIC insures trillions of dollars. No, the FDIC is not funded by taxpayers. The FDIC is funded, is an insurance policy that all the banks buy into. The FDIC does not get money from Congress. So no, it's not a, well, it's a government thing, but it's not government funded. The problem comes in if the FDIC decides it's going to cover that, then that's fine. If the FDIC covers Silicon Valley Bank, and now, because remember, the FDIC is funded by FDIC insured institutions, but the FDIC is backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. So here's where my concern is. My concern is that Silicon Valley Bank will have absolutely drained the cash reserves of the FDIC. And what happens when the next bank folds and it's not Silicon Valley businesses, it's not crypto funds? What happens when it's Ma and Pa Kettle and their life savings is in there, and then the FDIC says, well, we can only pay 30 cents on the dollar? That's why we have rules. Military people are very accustomed to, I think the rule sucks, but I understand why it's the rule. I think the rule sucks, but I'm going to follow the rule because the rules were there before me and the rules will be there after me. So I'm either going to work to get the rule changed or I'm going to follow, but until then, I'm going to follow the rule. Now, if they have the money to cover all the losses, great. But then, you know, all those, remember when you get a loan and you get taxes, titles, and extras? I don't want to pay I don't want to pay a quarter point extra on my bank transaction because they need to, because the FDIC says we need more money. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in me having to pay for your fuck up. They took the higher risk. That's the point. They risk it. Why still reward them? Well, that's the thing. They're not rewarding Silicon Valley Bank. I think the big thing to remember here is they're not rewarding Silicon Valley Bank. Who they're rewarding is they're rewarding the people who put their money in Silicon Valley Bank. I don't think the bank is getting rewarded. I don't think the bank is ever going to be financially stable again. But the way it works in America, they'll spend $900 in Delaware, they'll reincorporate as a new bank, and they'll change one person's name on the charter. So the problem here is this last video, the guy's giving some decent advice. But the guy's giving advice, but he's giving people a lot of bullshit with it. And so those people are running around without good knowledge. Now, the last one is the really important one. This last one is the dumbest video I've seen, and so many illegalities. So many, you're going to go to the booty house. So I'm going to play this and then we'll talk about it.
What if I told you there was a way to buy things like this $100,000 watch without spending a single dollar of your own money, using business credit like this that you never actually had to pay back? Not to the average person, guys. This sounds crazy, but any business owner knows how this works. You know how personal credit works. Let's say, for example, you'll get a car or a credit card in your personal name. You're personally held responsible for that. So if you were to go get a credit card in your personal name and you were to go max the card out, you're gonna be held liable, and if you don't make that payment back, the bank could come and sue you. Now, what makes this different about business credit? With business credit, you are not personally held responsible for that line of credit. So let's say, for example, how I got this watch. I was able to open a business that I didn't really give a shit about. I went and opened business credit cards in that account. I then proceeded to go on, buy this for $100,000. I'm gonna turn around and sell it to a jeweler for $80,000 in cash, which now gives me the cash. I'll file bankruptcy on the company. I'll never have to actually pay it back because I'm not personally liable for that American Express card. It's all liable underneath my business. It's all weird to explain in one video, but guys, if you're interested in getting involved in this and you can use some extra easy money now, I want you to go to Instagram and
Okay. So, that guy is giving people advice. First of all, he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. The number one question is, how does your business get a $100,000 line of credit if you have no assets and no money? And the answer is, it doesn't. I mean, this goofy looking motherfucker right here is literally trying to say,
what if I told you there was a way to buy things like this $100,000 watch without spending a single dollar?
First of all, wait, hold on.
Your money using
those aren't even real American Express cards. First of all, those are the little plastic toys that come in the envelope when they want you. Second of all, okay, and I mean this with all sincerity, he's got he supposedly has $100,000 watch on, and he's got a cheap ass plastic chair in the background, 2 chains so nobody suspects the dude is poor, and I'm just saying he's so rich that you can see the reflection of the tree in his mirror. Or in the reflection of his window. Rich people's trees are like way the fuck away from their pool.
Business credit like this that you never actually have to pay back.
Okay. Business credit like this that you never have to pay back. So let me introduce you to the corporate veil. And I know some of you have heard me talk about this many, many times. And if you don't know what the corporate veil is and you're in business, then you need to stop being in business and go talk to your accountant and your lawyer about the corporate veil. Because if you don't understand the corporate veil, then you don't have your assets protected because nobody has set you down. The corporate veil, right? The corporate veil is what distinguishes J stuff from PGN Inc.'s stuff. I could get my business sued because people are like, Jay has all this nice stuff and Jay has this money, so I'm going to sue PGN Incorporated. And my business strategy for criminal defense right now is to literally walk into court with my bank statement and look at the judge and say, my company has about $3,800 in cash in it. I don't even have enough money to bring my defense attorney with me. Here we go. And people are going to say, but you have all this money. And you're going to say, you're right. And I have the protection that is my corporate veil. So you're a customer or you're a creditor and you're injured by a business. And you go to the business. These entities are considered separate and distinct from the owners. Limited liability. That is why you have LLCs, limited liability companies. Incorporated businesses are LLCs at an advanced level. The incorporation makes it a legal entity. Now, what this guy is talking about is he's talking about buying a watch for $100,000, and the creditor in this case is Amex, and he's assuming he can hide behind the corporate veil. And what he doesn't realize is he's going to sell the watch for $80,000. It's going to pass through the veil, creating a big giant hole in the veil. And now the limited liability is over, and he absorbs the liability, because here's why. You will see here, the way to pierce through the corporate veil is by having fraudulent business activities, fraud, a lack of corporate formality, mixing of personal and business finances. I gave myself the $80,000. Failure to maintain your limited liability status, I told you that story about the lady who abused my cats, and inadequate capital. So there are a lot of ways to pierce the corporate veil. Now, what this guy says...
What if I told you there was a way to buy things like this $100,000 watch without spending a single dollar of your own money, using business credit like this that you never actually had to pay back? Not to the average person, guys. This sounds crazy, but any business owner knows how this works. You know how personal credit works. Let's say, for example, you go get a car or a credit card in your personal name. You're personally held responsible for that. So if you were to go get a credit card in your personal name and you were to go max the card out, you're going to be held liable, and if you don't make that payment back, the bank could come and sue you. Now, what makes us different about business credit? With business credit, you are not personally held responsible for that line of credit. So
bullshit. As a corporate officer, I am personally responsible for any fraudulent activity that I engage in. I am personally responsible if I commit crimes. And what he's saying is, this is premeditated fraud, premeditated embezzlement.
Let's say, for example, how I got this watch. I was able to open a business that I didn't really give a shit about.
No, you weren't. No, you weren't able to open a business that you didn't give a shit about. Because let me tell you how that works. When I went in and I started PGN Inc. 3 years ago. In fact, 3 years ago tomorrow. My available credit was zero. My available credit when I started this business was zero. As I told you guys years and years and years ago, I had a bunch of businesses, but I wasn't the principal on them. Each one was its own standalone function. I started a corporation due to personal reasons. I had personal financial I had personal business reasons why a C corporation is better for me for the rest of my long-term wealth generation than a limited liability company or a sole proprietorship. It's because I don't want to receive the benefits of the action. No, PGN Music is like a year later than that. I didn't start PGN Music right away. So the big thing here is I don't want to be compensated for the things that I do, but I want to establish an organization that pays its taxes. I can't. When I walked into the bank just to find out what my credit rating was, they said you're a 2-day-old company. You have no credit.
I went and opened business credit cards in that account. I then proceeded to go on, buy this for $100,000. I'm going to turn around and sell it to a jeweler for $80,000 in cash, which now gives me the cash.
Okay, it gives you the cash, and that's corporate theft. What he's saying is, because remember, you are always two people. You are always two people when you're dealing with a business. You are you as a person, and you are you as a representative of the business. As the representative of the business, you took an asset from the business worth $100,000, you sold it, and then you gave it to yourself. That's theft. That is embezzlement. That is fraud.
I'll file bankruptcy on the company. I'll never have to actually pay it back.
I'm going to stop him there too. Bankruptcy court is unlike any other court in existence. Bankruptcy court, to the best of my knowledge, because I haven't had to deal with it personally, I've only advised people and read and talked to, I've dealt with a lot of people who've dealt with bankruptcy court. Bankruptcy court can actually reverse transactions for a period of 2 years prior to the date you're in front of the judge. So the judge would say you're filing bankruptcy and that $100,000, and you sold it. Well, I'm still going to apply the $100,000 debt to the company.
Because I'm not personally liable for that American Express card. It's all liable underneath my business.
No, that is bullshit. Because when you open a corporation, two things happen. Number one, you sign documents as an individual. I don't think I have. So, when I sign this document, let me hold on. Let me get the form out. I got to do it this way because if I try to put an image up, I'll probably crash this shit. Okay, so what this guy is trying to say is that he doesn't have any liability because he's just trying to say I don't have. He's trying to say I don't have any liability. You'll notice here. This is a W-9. It's a request for taxpayer identification number, right? The problem here is name, PGN Inc., business name, PGN Music. Because PGN Music is a subsidiary of PGN Incorporated. Address, all that, all this. Now, taxpayer identification number. Enter your TIN in the appropriate box. The TIN must match the name given on line 1. For individuals, this is generally your social security number. Right? However, for a resident alien, sole proprietor, or disregarded entity, see the instructions for Part 1. Or employee identification number. So I throw in, right, and this isn't my number. I throw in my EIN. Down here, you're going to notice certification. The number on this form is my correct taxpayer ID number. I am not subject to backup withholdings. I am a U.S. citizen. And the FATCA code entered, if any. Right? You're signing the form. Signature of U.S. person. You're signing this. You're dating it. Now, if I can recall correctly, and I don't think I can show it, because it will have the actual documents on it. But when I do my corporate taxes, I have to sign a form. 2022 tax returns. I actually have to sign the bottom of the tax return, right? There is a secondary form I have to sign. And that secondary form I sign says, my social security number, acting as officer of this business, do solemnly swear or affirm that we're not breaking the law, right? Because I have to file that as the treasurer. I'm the treasurer, the director, and the secretary. There is no, you're not liable. Even though it's a C corporation, they're gonna come along and they're gonna say, okay, who is responsible? And there's a form I have to fill out. Every year when I recertify my business, there's a form I have to fill out. I don't know what this guy is trying to accomplish other than get people to go to his Instagram.
It's all weird to explain in one video, but guys, if you're interested in getting involved in this,
it's all weird to explain in one video. It's because you're giving people terrible advice. Giving people terrible advice, and you're going to have a whole generation of content creators and TikTokers and YouTubers and business people that go to jail. I'm going to take a real quick break, and then we're going to stay on this topic. Alrighty. So doing some light digging on this guy, found his LinkedIn. He runs a social media marketing company. Well, here's the problem. You can run whatever business you want to run. Your side hustle, if you want to set up a side hustle because it has any amount of income, right? And if you have his LinkedIn, post it because I'd love to take a look at it. But the problem is, as I tell people all the time, get a side hustle. Get a side hustle. Right? You should always have a side hustle. For example, right? My personal phone. Only because I don't want only because I don't want to have clients based on what I do and who I do it for. I don't want I don't want people to get my personal cell phone number, and unfortunately I gotta log in here somewhere else. Oh, branding is power. Okay, you can bypass it if you just skip it twice. So let's take a look at this guy.
What if I told you there was a way to buy things?
Oh
like
no,
this
we don't want to hear
$100,000?
from you again. Absolutely not. So let's take a look at this guy. Branding is power. In a nutshell, I help business and brands increase online presence and gain customers through social media marketing. This can either be done as a done-for-you service or consulting basis. Any business is always looking to increase their bottom line revenue and drive customer acquisition. But there's a lot of confusion. Well, first of all, you fucking failed, genius. I'm not really going to. I'm not going to go with the guy. Oh shit, where did you go? I'm not going to go with a guy who's going to tell me he's going to do social media marketing and social media branding if you start a sentence with the word but. But there's a lot of confusion how and why this can be done. Many business owners are aware of the importance of social media marketing, but frankly, okay. This guy is an idiot. Company website, external, click here. Raw Media is closed. It's parked at GoDaddy. See, the problem here is he founded Raw Media, brick and mortar and e-commerce business, to 7 to 8 figures through paid traffic and sales funnels. This is the problem with ultimately why people can't get ahead, right? Because for everywhere you go, there are people scamming the shit out of everything. There are people scamming the shit out of everyone. And you just can't get ahead. This guy is literally, his TikTok is banned. Probably, well, his TikTok was banned because I reported it. I reported it for criminal enterprises. That's why I download. Whenever I'm going to show TikToks, I download the TikTok. I have the video direct. No, I reported that because the problem is, I'm not a hater, but I'm worried about the people that listen to his video. Because what people don't realize is credit fraud hurts the economy. Because that watch seller, right, could get his American Express contract canceled through no fault of his own. But if 1 or 2 people buy fraudulent watches from him, buy watches fraudulently from him, American Express might say, you know what? We're just not going to do business with you anymore. And then that guy who's done nothing wrong, he's got his money, or he may end up having his money tied up, depending on how quickly they do the watch buy and then the dump. You don't get your money right away from credit card companies. That's why I see people, and it's always weird. If you've got a company that's constantly changing their Stripe or their PayPal, there's a problem there. I haven't had to change my Venmo, my Stripe, or my PayPal ever. Because I don't do fraudulent shit. But anyway, if everybody should have a side business. Everybody should have a side business. As long as you come up with something that generates a little bit of revenue, right? If you can come up with something that will generate a little bit of revenue, then what can happen is you can dump off a lot of your bills. So you set up, and I'll just PGN Inc., right? If I wanted to, well, let me not use PGN Inc. because I don't actually do any of this stuff due to it being a C Corp. 1, 2, 3 crafts, right? Your wife makes, or you make cricket stuff. Well, you have a business. Half your phone bill, the business can pay. Half your internet, your business can pay. And now your business doesn't pay any taxes because the little bit of money that you were making is all being eaten up by bills. The appropriate percentage of total of square footage in your house, your business can pay. So your mortgage is $2,000 a month and your business takes up 20% of your house. And don't get stupid with this. Have your actual hard copy papers of the square footage as appraised in your house. So you have a 2,000 square foot house and exactly 20% is being used by your business. Then your business can pay 20% of your mortgage to you. It can write a check directly to your mortgage company for 20%. Why does it write a check directly to the mortgage company for 20%? Because if it writes you a check for 20%, then you just made money from your business and now you have to pay tax on that. So you write it in the rental contract with your own business. You are responsible to pay 20% of the mortgage directly to the mortgage company no later than the 5th of the month. It's totally legal. And you're like, Jay, that sounds scammier than the guy with the watch. You have to know the corporate veil. If the if your 1, 2, 3 crafts gives you $200 a month, that is income. You are now renting that space to yourself. That becomes a line of income to you. So do it as an expense out of the company. This check is for Jay's address, this number, and then you sit there and you watch your online account. It can pay if you have 20% of the square footage. Does that mean you can pay 20% of the utilities? Yes. Yes, you can. Yes, you absolutely can. 20% of the utilities. Should you do 20%? No. You shouldn't. You should treat the business as one of X people in the home. So you have your spouse, 2 kids, plus the business, 20%. You have yourself, and 1 kid, 25% of the utilities. Because it's functioning as one. Now, is there an even better way to do this if you want to not get in trouble? Yes. You factor in how many hours a month you're actively using the space, and then you factor in 24 hours a day for every day of the month for you, 24 hours a day for every day of the month for your spouse, 24 hours a day every day of the month for your children, and then how many hours of the month. You add up all the numbers, and then it's 9%. You are never going to get in trouble with the IRS if it's a lower number that you can justify. Is the IRS probably going to even peak in at 20%? No. But you gotta be careful that you're not committing fraud. I see a lot of people do, my business owns my vehicle. Okay? You're committing fraud. What you've done is you've created a personal holding company. Your business can own your vehicle provided that you claim that vehicle on your personal taxes as compensation. Later, Sparky. As long as you claim that vehicle on your personal taxes as compensation, then you're good. But if your business owns a vehicle and you only use that vehicle for the business and reasonable, ordinary everyday life activities, ODLAs, ordinary daily life activities. I ran to the doctor. I was on a job site and I used my truck to go to the doctor and back. That's an ordinary daily life activity. During the work day, I use my vehicle to go to meals. It's an ordinary daily life activity. On my way home from a job site, I stopped and got groceries. Ordinary daily life activity. I used the company pickup truck to tow the boat to the lake on Saturday. No, you pierce the corporate veil. You're using corporate assets for personal use. But I'm allowed to. Yes. But did you then claim that vehicle on your personal taxes? This is why I say to people, always have a side hustle. Always have a side hustle. Have a side hustle, because everybody needs a side hustle. Everybody needs a side hustle. Remember, we've got time equals money. We've got money equals freedom. And freedom equals time. And this is why the poor stay poor and why the rich get richer. And this is what people fail to understand, is that if I'm buying 40 hours of your time, you may have to invest 10 hours of your time commuting to a job to sell me the 40 hours. And I'm giving you $15 an hour, so I'm giving you $600 for 50 hours of work. I'm giving you $600 for 40 hours of work, but 50 hours of time. So I'm really only giving you $12 an hour. This is the problem, and people say, well, my employer should pay me more. I don't disagree with you if your employer can pay you more. Money equals freedom, because once you have money and you no longer have to sell this 40 hours, and so you don't need to commit that 10 hours, that's 50 hours a week. That's 50 hours a week. That's why I can do what I do. I stream 16 hours a week. I stream actually, I take that back. I stream 18 hours a week. A little less lately because Ashes has been a little dry. But I stream 18 hours a week. And I lecture, what do I lecture? 5 times 90 divided by 60. I lecture 7.5 hours a week. And, right? But the problem is that it also takes me 4 hours a week to get to the lectures. So 18 hours a week streaming. We'll just call it 12 hours a week lecturing. That's 30 hours a week. I'm still doing better than most people because I don't have to sell 50 hours a week. So I know side hustles are hard. I get it. But as you've heard me say, and we have success stories in the Paradox community. There's a guy who's buying his 4th property because he followed what I said. He followed what I said, and he got a little bit of money together, and he bought both sides of a duplex. He moved into one, he renovated the other side, rented out the other side, renovated his side, and then as soon as his side was ready to rent, he got the money together to buy another one. So he was going to a 40-hour-a-week job to make money. He was renovating property on the side, and he had some other side hustle. He was doing like construction work at night, like renovations for people and on the weekends. So he was finding the time wherever he could to work on his own properties. But what he said was, at first I was working for the other company because I offered to take the tools home. And I said, so you were using their tools? And he's like, yeah, because I needed them. And I said, well, technically not cool, but any port in a storm, right? And then he got his properties done, and now he owns his own tools. He's got that little bit of money. But yeah, he was working 50, 60, 70 hours a week. Spend a couple of years living like other people won't, so you can spend the rest of your life living like other people can't. But don't do it by, like, the moment you start thinking about doing stuff like, committing credit fraud, I get it. Criminal money is easier money than legitimate money. If you're not intimidated by an 8x5 cell, 8x6 cell, then that's one thing. But remember, prison is filled with people who thought that they were smarter than the law. It's like, people say to me, well, why don't I go get a job? No, because my PTSD precludes me from, I'm just learning how to get out of the house again. But then somebody will confront me in public, and then I'll damn near get into a fight, and then that's a huge knockback. His one-on-one e-commerce mentorship program is closed. See, I just talked to somebody about opening a Fiverr. I think, yes? You're gonna teach the lesson? Yeah. Oh, now he woke up the little ones. By the way, I if you didn't see it at the beginning of the show, I'm living with little domestic terrorists. They didn't like their nails being cut today. You okay? So, but no, I think a big part of the problem is everybody is so desperate for money that they're willing to do illegal stuff for money. It's like I said to Wolfus Moon, I said, you need to get back to streaming because you were seeing some level of success with streaming. So Wolfus Moon was streaming. She was getting some level of success with it, and then she stopped doing it. Well, the problem is if you stop doing something, then you lose momentum. Wolfus Moon streams because she needs to buy groceries. She needs to buy, she needs to pay bills, right? Streaming is a great side hustle as long as you understand you're probably never going to make any money doing it. And if you are fortunate enough to make a little money doing it, then build the momentum on it. It's like how many people even though I get regarded in a lot of circles I'm in, when I'm a character, when I'm the Jalan character on the Ashes of Creation streams, a lot of that is theatrical performance for entertainment value. But, if you could approach me one-on-one, I'm going to help you with your side hustle. I wrote somebody a letter of recommendation because they needed a letter of recommendation. I can write a letter of recommendation and honestly give you a job review. I can do that. If you're in college, just send me a couple of your papers so that way I can, you know, if you know you're getting close and you're going to need letters of recommendation, then send me a couple of papers through your last semester so I can read them. And then I can say, I have consulted with this individual on many topics, including blah, 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 blah. You know, and then it's not a lie. It's a truth that's a lie that's a truth. I have consulted with you on many topics, including blah, blah, blah. I've known the individual for 4 years in a semi-professional setting, and in the last 6 months, I've grown to know this person in a professional setting, specializing in their discussions on abnormal psychology. That's not a lie, because I've known you for 4 years, and now I'm starting to know you as a professional. But yeah, I can't believe how many TikTokers. I cannot believe how many TikTokers are making money basically getting people set up to go to jail. People are going to go to jail with this guy. Making a living streaming in the modern equivalent to kids in the 80s and 90s saying, I'll just play baseball for a living. It takes a lot of work, and very few make it to the level where they are making the massive paychecks. But you can eke out a small paycheck and do okay if you're willing to put in the work. I agree with you there. I will say, if I had the ability to stream 40 hours a week, every week, and make the videos on the pace that I make on the YouTube, I could probably make mid 5 figures. I probably could make mid 5 figures. That would also, though, like Ninja has talked about in almost all the instances where he talks about making money, Harris Heller will say the same thing. If you're thinking about the money you're making today, you're not going to be making money 3 years from now. If you're thinking about the money you're going to be making today, then you're already 3 years behind the curve. Because I'll say this, how much of that would go to buying embedded views? 0, because I think buying embedded views is dumb. With that said, right? I was averaging, like, no bullshit. I was averaging 350 subs a month for months and months and months and months and months. I was averaging 350, 400 subs a month for months and months and months. I would have qualified for the new Twitch Partner Plus program, where I would have gotten a 70-30 split on my 50-50 subs, on my tier 1 subs. But with that said, I lost the momentum because Ashes didn't go into launch. There hasn't been a good MMO come out, right? For every Asmongold and Ninja, there's 10,000 people streaming to 1 to 2 viewers in silence waiting for their break. Actually, I know you don't like being wrong, but you are horribly wrong on that. And it's way worse than you thought, right? And I try to say this about streamers, and this show oftentimes does gravitate towards some streamer advice, but it's way worse than that. Those numbers are way worse than that. Let's take a look at the numbers, right? There are currently 118,000 channels broadcasting. All right? So there are 118,275 channels broadcasting, and there's 3.2 million viewers. So just by the numbers, if you don't have 27.8 viewers, you're below average. So I'm below average. But what you have here is the top guy, and we're just going to do the top 10. 3.6, 1.5, 1.0, 0.9, 0.9, 0.8, 0.7, 0.7, 0.7, 0.7. So we throw those into the magical calculator real quick. The top 10 people, have 11.5%, right? When you start looking at the top 20 people, right? 10 is 19,000, and that's 0.7. So as we fall down, the number 40 person is already under 5 figures, right? By the time you get to 60, you're at 6,000. By the time you get to 80, you're at 5,000. So look at how many people have so much of the viewership. I mean, you have the top 200 people. Look at that. So there's not, you know, 10,000 people streaming to 1 to 2 viewers. You take the top people and there are, you know, there are 100,000 people right now. For the top guy, there's 100,000 people streaming to 0. I am going to take this tangent. I will be right back. And I don't know why the tangent didn't show up. Hold on. Oh, because I got to do this. I will be right back. All right, so the tangent based on buying views for the hypothetical. Would any of it go into paid marketing to reach more people to grow your human audience? The problem is that it's already been shown and documented time and time and time and time and time again. Buying embedded views does not return the results for what you want. For example, everybody knows that I call out the other Ashes of Creation streamer. Narc has started streaming. And I can't validate his numbers because he doesn't use a certain website. So I don't know how many chatters he actually has. But I do know that his chat room bot is ridiculous. So it's generating, it makes it impossible to track his viewership regardless. The other Ashes of Creation content creator is buying massive amounts of views. And what's it getting him? Nothing. It's getting him nothing because, and I always believe that there is a lesson to be learned, right? There's a lesson to be learned from any channel. Now you'll know, I'll show my own numbers first because it's a learning experience and I don't like to not show my own stuff. So you'll notice that over the years, my number stays pretty consistent. Right? Because I switch between games to games, I have days where I pick up a couple of followers and then I lose followers. It is what it is. I don't stream full time. I do a talk show about a game in development. Very, very, very difficult to grow an audience that way. But you'll notice on a day like June 24th, I have 51 viewers and I pick up a follower. Now, I switch categories. I go to Ashes of Creation. I stream to 71 viewers. I pick up a follower. And then there are people who don't like my opinions, so they unfollow the show. And that's fine, because that's what it's all about. But then when you look at someone who's blatantly using view bots, right? This is why I laugh about it. Because I'm picking up one follower with 50 viewers. And you supposedly have 1,000 viewers, which is more than you've had, right? 300 more, 600 more right here. So you have 1,000 viewers and you didn't pick up anybody. You didn't pick up anybody. Buying embedded views doesn't do anything for you. The problem is, so let's say these aren't paid views. This bodes horribly for the content of a stream. Oh no, because we're, you know, it's even worse, right? Because it's even worse because I can do this. And this is where I was hoping Intrepid Studios would. So you can't look up narc, but you come to my channel on this website, right? You gonna not work for me again today? Sometimes there we go. So you come to my channel on this website, and I know it's a little hard to read because they have a horrible color scheme. But on my channel, there's been 699,000 chat messages. But I got to take off stream elements, and I can take off all the bots, right? I can't take off those 2 bots because they're not stream elements bots. But you know, I have legitimate people. Karthos, damn dude, you're number 7. You talk too much here. But when you do this, right? So you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of viewers, right? And you have 329,000 chat messages? Really? So you don't understand how you have... Yeah, I told you that you were the top chatter yesterday in the lobby. So you notice the difference here. I've streamed half the amount of time Smurg has, but I have double the number of chats. Buying embedded views as a Twitch streamer doesn't get you anything. It inflates one number, and anybody worth their salt that's doing an analysis on your channel is gonna see, yeah, channel engagement is where it's at, right? Anybody worth their salt, and this is where, and I say this from a place of love about Intrepid Studios and Dynamite Studios. Don't look at the total number of followers that a Twitch channel has, right? Look at the chat messages. Look at the chat engagement. I can buy shit if he wants. If the other Twitch streamers want to play this stupid fucking game of who can buy more embedded viewers, then we're playing the game of whose dick is bigger. And no. I can outspend you. I can outspend you and buy embedded views. But what does that get me? Nothing. Now, if I could spend money and if I could buy engaging chatters, that might be worth it. What about girth? Like a pop can. It's 2 inches long, but it's 42 inches wide. That's why my nickname is the Frying Pan Man. But the terrible thing is that at the end of the day, buying embedded views as a Twitch streamer is like masturbation. You're only fucking yourself. But here's why I don't do it, and here's why I speak out against it. If you need to cheat to get to the top of the charts, then you're shit. And your product is shit. Oh, he may be buying followers now? Oh, yeah, he did. It's, again, like I said, guys, don't fuck with the data ninja. I might not be able to build the tools. I may not be able to build the tools. And I'll admit, I probably can't build the tools, right? But I will tear open. Oh, I can't use it unless I'm logged in. No, I gotta be logged in to I gotta be logged in to use that site over here. I'm logged in over there. I can look up your, I can look up somebody's, how many of their followers are known bots. Oh, you know what I can do? I can do this. I can do this because there's one website I like more, but I'll do this. And again, right? You got to be careful. I can't use another browser. It requires you to be logged in, and I don't know the password to this Twitch account off the top of my head. I have long keys for all of them, so it would take me too long to get in. So the day that he fucked up and put all the view bots in the stream at the same time. No, this is even better, right? So from the month of April 2023 to the month of May 2023, he magically gained 5,429 followers. 5,499 followers. But remember when he lost 4,933 followers in one day? And this is where this requires companies, like, look at how fast I can do this, right? Monthly channel gain. Ready? 497 people. 503. 1,000. 502. Let's see something. Let's check out something. Let's look. So in February, you had an average of 4,244 viewers because you done fucked up. So let's see. On June 14th, you lost 3 viewers, but you gained 501. On June 15th, you didn't even stream. On June 15th, you didn't even stream there, bro. Hey, bro, you didn't even stream. How the fuck did you get 999 followers on a day you didn't stream? This is the shit I'm talking about. Intrepid Studios should send him you are never getting into our content creator program again because all you're trying to do is fraudulently raise your numbers. Period. Period. This is why I don't condone this shitty behavior. It's why I do not condone this shitty behavior at all. Because what he's done is he's basically made it where he competes against other Ashes of Creation content creators, and they feel now that they have to buy followers and buy views. And other Ashes of Creation content creators are buying followers and buying views because they feel it's the only way to be competitive. And I tell them, no, fuck that. Beat them honestly. Because if I beat you and I beat you honestly, that's one thing. If I beat you and I beat you while you're cheating, that's just fucking gravy on top. But yeah, he's buying massive amounts of followers, and I don't. Well, let me see if I can get into it. Oh, I can do it this way. If I can do it up here. Yeah, he now has 25,000 followers, so he has 258 pages. I'm gonna see if I can get the goodness, because and this is why I say for content creators, just don't do this, because there's so many validation tools out there that allow other people to just third party. I honestly wouldn't care, but the dude is a giant chode. Well, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, plagiarism means you have to copy what everybody does. If you can't have an original thought, then you got to just copy what everybody does. But no, is this going to pop up? There's so many of them, it's going to give me a... So this website... Where's my... This website allows me to filter out your information, right? So let me pop over here. This website allows me, hopefully I don't crash. Image. So what you see here, just so I don't want anybody to ever assume that I'm throwing shade. There's his user ID. There's his username. There's his display name, right? And so I can check a filter of your users. Is known bot? Yes. That is the filter I've applied. Is known bot? Yes. Filtered followers. 17,610. So, can you look me up in his chat? No, I can't look you up in his chat. That's one thing I can't do. I can't. Yeah, I can't look up other people's chats. Oh wait, I didn't. Oh, you got me. You fucking got me. You wanted to see what you'd said to get banned. You followed Jalan. But no, for the people out there that have content creator friends, if your content creator friend is struggling, they can reach me on Discord. Jalan #0001. I am more than happy to reach out and I am happy to reach out, or they can reach out to me, and I am happy to mentor them. I am happy to show them, I mean, how I honestly got into the top 0.5% of Twitch on my gaming channel. I just sent 2 Jalan emotes since he missed me in his passes as a PGN chat. But see, this is the problem. If you say nice things about companies just want to have people who say nice things about them. I disagree with this. When I teach people marketing, I say you don't want just people saying nice things about you. You want people that have said negative things about you to have to say nice things about you. When Intrepid Studios changes the store over, I'll turn around and say, well, it's about time. I've only been giving you this free advice for 3 years, but good on you. You finally did it. You can ban me for whatever you want, but if your reason is laughable, I'm going to laugh at you. Exactly. And that's the thing. If you, like, I think everybody will agree, I don't pull the ban trigger fast enough on my gaming channel. I don't pull the ban trigger fast enough. I let a lot of people take up and derail the show for a long period of time. Especially the people who say stuff like, well, what I said was, and then you're literally like, no, I can see the chat history. That's not what you said. It's not fair. You have a microphone. Yeah, but you have a keyboard and you get to spend as long as you want thinking about your answer, and I've got to keep it entertaining. I've redeemed points to get me to stop. Yeah, right, exactly. But no, closing this up. As a content creator, I have a responsibility to be honest with you. I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to teach you properly as a content creator. I have a responsibility as a content creator to teach you properly. And if I don't do that, then I'm a bad content creator. So paid marketing, yay or nay? No, it's not paid marketing, because what's it getting you? I mean, I guess if you want to get views, then fine, right? If you like, right now I'm banning bots. I'm banning bots out of my channel right now because I don't like dirty numbers, right? I don't like dirty numbers at all. But paid marketing is something like that gets real users into your channel. What they're trying to do isn't going to get them real users, because a real user is somebody who either, one, lurks all the time, or two says who says something in your chat. You can pay for the views and then use those numbers in marketing. Yes, you absolutely can. You absolutely can do that, and that's what one of the big problems is. But the problem is, and I see this all too often. So many times companies will say, well, we want to get this guy because this guy has whatever. He has a large amount of followers. He has a large amount of this, or he has a large amount of that. But when you go in there, number one, the guy's about as entertaining as watching fucking paint dry, right? And number two, there's nobody talking. There's nobody talking. But you'll be solving the wrong problems by marketing with the wrong starting numbers. Exactly. I mean, I was meaning, would you use it for getting real human people in if you were serious about the content creation growth? A lot of advice is about free social media marketing, and I hardly ever see anything on the use of paid marketing. Right. Paid marketing for content creators is very, very difficult because there's so much free content. It's hard to get to the top. I mean, right now, where am I in? I'm in the bottom, whatever, 1% right now. Let me let's do this real quick, right? Let's just look at this. In the talk shows and podcast category, if I go high to low, right? If I go high to low, the top person in podcasts has 7.5 thousand viewers, right? And we're gonna come up here pretty quickly, right? We're right there, so we're not horrible, right? We're not horrible down. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're 10 rows down. We're 10 rows down. Yeah, there's multiple hot tubs in the just chatting. Exactly. So 10 rows down. But if we go low to high, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 33 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 33 rows by 6. There are 198 channels streaming, well, 198, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. There are 193 channels streaming to one person. There's 193 channels streaming to one person. They could buy all the embedded views they want. They're still going to be streaming to the same one person, which is them probably watching their own stream or doing whatever. I would, and this is why I say to people, I talk to a lot of people that are struggling to make Twitch affiliate. They're struggling to make Twitch affiliate. To make Twitch affiliate, gotta have 50 followers. Check. Gotta stream 8 hours in a month. I don't do that. Well, I do if I do all 4 shows. I gotta stream on 7 days of the month. I only do 3 or 4. And you gotta have 3 concurrent viewers. I average 14. I can be an affiliate on this channel anytime I want, but I don't want. Which is why at the bottom it says, like, and I did this intentionally because I don't. In a month, 7 times in a month. So, oh, this channel, yeah, on this channel, yeah, on this channel. But you'll notice I don't want to monetize this channel, so I have this little handy box right here. This channel is not monetized. If you are just dying to subscribe to Jalon, then do so over at the twitch.tv Paradox Gaming Network channel. If you want a tip, it'll take you to the Paradox Gaming tip because I don't want to monetize this product, so you just pay on the other channel. which is why it's like, I don't give a shit. I don't want ads on this channel. But if you can't make affiliate on Twitch, you don't have 3 friends, you don't have 5 friends, shut up and take my money. That's right. I took your money. It's over on the other channel. I think you're still at the bottom. But no, as far as the second half of the day, we sort of got into Twitch streaming as a business because it is a good side hustle. You can make a lot of money on Twitch. You really can. You can make a lot of money on Twitch. You can make a lot of money through donations. You can make a lot of money through whatever it is. But buying embedded views doesn't get people into your channel. All it does is make you look like a fucking clown. It literally makes you look like a fucking clown. You're like, oh, you have 25,000 followers and you have 1,000 viewers and you have 4 chatters. Everybody knows what you're doing, especially since everybody can see 17,000 of your followers are bots. With that said, I want to thank you guys. I was talking as a therapeutic method. I flirted with content creation, but I don't think there's a market for a stream that just roasts everything. Dude, Karthos, if you started a stream that just roasted everything, I would do with you what I used to do with BCG, and I would appear on your show for like a 30-minute segment, and I would just like pop in like as a guest, like, Jay's here. What's the topic for the next 30 minutes? I would collab for 30 minutes with you during your stream. Like BCG used to pop in on mine. If we were just gonna roast shit, dude, you're funny as fuck. You're funny as fuck. I think that you would have to have some stuff. Yeah, you would just pick a topic and roast and rant about it. I think you would do well at that. But here's where I don't think you would do well. I don't think you want to do this often enough because you've got a girlfriend, you've got other business ventures, you have a job. I think some of that, like you even said, you take the weekends away from the stupid at Ashes of Creation's Discord because you have to. I think you would be very good at it. I think you would be amazing at it. I think it would be funny as fuck, and I'd probably sub to it. And if I'm saying that about Karthos, you probably can do that. I just want to remind you guys, whenever you think that you're not creative, whenever you're creative, I'll appreciate that, Rochambeau. Whenever you don't think you are creative, I want to remind you, Stephanie Meyer wrote the Twilight series. That shit made millions. The movies made hundreds of millions. And now they're rebooting that shit as a TV show. So if that trash can make millions, your trash can too. I'll see you next week.